I'm actually born and raised in Windsor. I graduated from the University of Windsor Bachelor of Education. And while I was there, I worked for Turtle Island House as an art coordinator for the Indigenous students. So it was still to this day is one of my favorite gigs that I've ever had, just like the creation, bringing in Indigenous artists to work with the kids and the students. And then I decided to move out west to Calgary for 8 years, where I worked with at-risk youth and families. So the families that were engaged in children's services, so supporting them in their homes. And then, yeah, I decided, it's time to come back. I miss it. I miss my family. I miss the people. And then I seen this job posting. And I'm like, yes, like that's it. Like that's where I need to be. So working the one-on-one with the students is kind of my passion, and connecting with them and supporting them is kind of where I thrive. So it's exciting to be back.
And aside from family and people, was there anything specific you were looking most forward to coming back to Windsor?
I do love going over the border. I know it's not Windsor in particular, but I've been taking walks at the river quite a bit, which has been great. And I've gone to Ojibwe, so just like I'm really a nature person, so just finding those little pieces of nature in Windsor have been great as well. Yeah.
What kind of work did you do at the university before? You mentioned you worked with students, but I'm thinking that must have started the roots or given you the passion that kind of led the rest of your journey, bringing you back to Windsor.
I did supply teach, and for me, the group setting was not for me. So I always just really resonated with kids that needed more support. So that's kind of where it came in with my passion of working just one-on-ones. Like I felt like the kids that needed more support always came to me and like kind of seeked me out. So it just was a passion of, having that one-on-one connection and really being able to kind of see progress, because it's really hard in group settings to be able to kind of like gauge the progress and see it and like the rewards that it comes with it.
What about you when you were a student and growing up? What type of Indigenous support did you get?
I would say none. And I think growing up, just my identity was something that I struggled with quite a bit as well. So seeing things that are progressing and seeing like stories being told is really amazing. And to be able to now go into the schools and listen to the stories of our students and like let them have a voice and being able to use that voice it's going to be really rewarding for myself, and I think for the community at whole, to be able to kind of listen to the student voices and like how can we move forward.
What about support at home for you? Was it different than your support at school?
I have a very supporting family, a very big family, three brothers, half sisters as well, big family. So I had lots of support at home. My Indigenous roots, I was not raised that way just because my grandma decided at a younger age that it was safer for my mom not to kind of be raised just because of what was going on in like those times. So as we got older, my mom started looking into the histories and I know like when she tells me these things, I'm like, well, I already knew that because it speaks to my soul. Like I love the water. I love the nature, right? I already do a lot of the ceremonies myself. So it's kind of interesting, like all the journeys because of what had happened in the past are so different. Yeah.
What does it mean to be able to be that support for students that you didn't have?
I think that's what I like about this, right? Just to be able to navigate a lot of things, because sometimes they're just falling through the cracks because they don't have that support to be able to navigate, to be able to kind of look at these things and say, okay, well, what direction can we go with these? So it's one of the main reasons why I love to support.
And you're already in the school, so have you already seen a response from students who see you in the hallways, who appreciate seeing your representation there?
I have, and it's really new. This is about 5 weeks in, so I'm just starting to meet the students, but I've already had families and students reaching out to do one-on-ones with them. So it's showing that the need is there, and there's some kids that are like interested in doing some leadership, like with the board and like other boards is something that we're going to kind of look into. So just really like talking to them, hearing their voices, and seeing what we can do with that.
What are the challenges this generation of Indigenous students face compared to what maybe you experienced?
I think it's almost the same. Like it really is that identity piece, right? Of like what is Indigenous, because we've always had just that stereotypical idea of what Indigenous people are, right? And now we're kind of moving forward and being empathetic of the Canadian history. So I'm hoping that now we can empower our Indigenous students just to be like, we're Indigenous, it looks different. We all have different journeys, but that's okay. And so hopefully now that there is more knowledge out there about the histories and people are more empathetic and it's not just the stereotypical Indigenous like thought mindset, that we can move forward and we can empower our students just to be proud of being Indigenous.
And there's a serious gap in educational attainment between Indigenous and non-Indigenous people in Ontario. Only 53% of Indigenous people have education beyond high school. How will you be able to help change that?
I think we decided we're going to not just focus on academics. So we called it the success coach. So it's going to be a holistic approach of really working with all well-being, so social, emotional, because a lot of academics, they're having problems in school because they're also having other problems outside of school. So it's really going to be a holistic approach. It could be from anything from mentoring, goal setting, helping them connect to community, giving them opportunities for traditional learning or cultural learning, post-secondary pathways. It's going to be a lot of things that we can navigate with these students, and just to help them like define their own success and what that looks like.
How do we need to do better as a community when it comes to supporting Indigenous kids in school?
I think we are doing better, like just having these kind of positions, having the committees, and I think just continuing to learn instead of just having that old mindset, like just moving forward with a newer mindset, continuing to learn, continue to listen to our Indigenous students because they are at the forefront of moving forward.
Yeah. And I'm also thinking fast forward, the cohort you're working with now, years from now being where you are. What do you hope it looks like for them?
Yeah, I hope that we have moved forward. I hope that they are empowered to, finish post-secondary, continue on into life and whatever success means to them. Yeah, I do see the world changing and I do see things moving forward. So I'm just going to continue to believe that that's the way it's going to be and that we're going to see Indigenous students in that number that you've shared. It's going to look quite different.
Yeah. Thanks so much for coming in, Fawne. Appreciate this.
Thank you for having me.
On an early Monday morning.
Yes. Thank you.
Doesn't go unnoticed. We appreciate it.
Okay.
Fawne Lomascolo is the new Indigenous Student Success Coach with the Windsor-Essex Catholic District School Board. She's also a member of the Red River Métis Nation in Manitoba.